start a recording on Chandra?
I don't know. Well, let's just see. Let's see if anyone jumps on. Kind of scrounging for inspiration. You know, the gray days are upon us. You know, this is the gray season. You got to understand, I'm not from Indiana, so you know this kind of stuff gets to me. I think in Indiana people love the gray. I only said that because Sam Cook is with us. That was for Sam. Here comes. We love you too, Sam.
Aw.
Yeah.
We love you.
We are firing up a Facebook Live today. We've got episodes posted. You might want to check the podcast and see if you got any new ones. Last one, I don't know. I think we hit a sweet spot at about a half hour in. So.
I agree.
I think so.
No, I do.
I think we started to see an emerging theme. So that was good. So we're just puttering about, prepping to start the recording. We really hit a wall for our Facebook folks to hear. So we kind of started with Facebook and we kind of hit a little bit of a wall. I pay a monthly subscription to Apple so that I have multiple terabytes of storage space for all my photos and videos. And just continuously, my iPad Pro, which is not an inexpensive thing, this is money talk, it tells me that there's no more room in it. And then I finagle around for about an hour. It tells me there's no more room. I go and I go in the settings and everything. You know, I'm a boomer. I'm actually a Gen X, which is a boomer who doesn't care. And
a Gen Zer.
So I always go through the settings. It's always the same. Something winds up giving a nudge to my Photos application and it begins to synchronize. Then it frees me up 25 gigabytes of space for no reason after an hour of doing nothing that makes any sense. And I'm like, why am I paying $25 an hour for all this storage on the cloud when my iPad Pro craps out before we do our recordings, you know? And yeah, I mean, no. If I go and spend $700 on a couple of really good GoPros, you know, is that what they cost? $300 pop?
Dude, I bet they're way more expensive now.
Yeah, let's say if I go and spend like $700 on GoPros and get a good, you know, and then I go and I get, I guess, a PC now, or I get a PC, whatever, the cheapest one with as good a graphics interface as I can get. Oh, now I'm at $1,400, $2,000, you know, somewhere around there. Or I go ahead and get an Apple computer, which is supposed to be the pinnacle for this, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know. I've used Apple products forever and ever, and I don't love any of it. I'm Gen X, man. I don't like any of it. I just want to go drink from the hose, ride my Schwinn bicycle until it's dark out, and come home, get a whooping, and hide in my room until I get kicked out the next day. You know? Anyway, so, you know, or I can just limp along on the, I mean, freaking, what does an iPad Pro cost?
I don't think we want to know the answer.
Well, I have one. It's sitting right here. This is an iPad Pro. I bought it from someone else for less than it's worth. I think an iPad Pro costs $1,000, maybe $750.
I bet it's at least $1,000.
Price it up, Luke. Let's see what one costs. Just let's look at what we're dealing with, because
I'm doing it.
I'm upgrading to an iPhone 12 Max Pro phone that I'm getting from someone else for $400.
Yes. I think it really depends. It looks like there's some from like $700 all the way up to like $1,800.
$700, you know. Yeah. Maybe call it $750, $800 for an iPad Pro. So that's, you know, and it should work. You know, it should really work, man.
I really think.
I mean, if you're, you know, like you should. It's not an unreasonable concept that we should be able to record a video version of our podcast and put it up. We found a cheat code, I feel, which was Rumble. It's like YouTube, and you can pull up on Rumble anything we're doing and it's video, and then you can just hit the side button on your iPhone, turn off your screen, and just keep listening just like a podcast.
Yeah.
It's got limitations. It's not like the moon on a spoon. I don't know if it holds your place the way that, whatever.
Right. I think what's that one guy? He's like, used to be a TV guy, and now he runs a podcast. He's like British. I think he's been canceled. He is like.
Are you talking about Russell Brand?
Yeah, I think Russell Brand is on Rumble. Like he switched.
It's a good interface.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed Russell Brand. I like him. I'm gonna tell you guys something. I like a very broad spectrum of people, and if I talk, I just get stress me out. Because everyone's so freaking tribal.
Sincerely.
They're tribal.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, you like that guy? Well, then you're not my friend. And I'm like,
Jeez.
yes, I never was. Jeez Louise. You know? Man. I just hate finding out that people weren't my friend all along. I hate that.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It kind of is, man. Like, I think people are really special. That comes from Jesus.
Yep.
Of course, when they find that out,
right?
They find out I think that, then I'm off.
Yeah, you're done.
You just rip off the Band-Aid? I don't feel like that.
Right.
I don't want to just rip off the Band-Aid with people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. I'm like, no, man. Keep the connection.
Yeah.
You know? And I heard a wise man once say, don't cast your pearls before swine. Which is why, like, a lot of times I'm an awful big talker, but I'm actually a real listener. You know, you won't find me chiming in on a whole lot of those Facebook feeds where everyone's getting their, you know, their dander up. Anyway.
Yes.
So, like, I mean, I can't envision a world in which I can go and get, you know, 2 angles worth of, it would be sick to have this, you know, like 2 angles worth of, you know, and then to edit together a dual angle thing and hire on a video editor and really start doing some talks on some stuff, you know. By the way, today on our podcast, we're going to start off with talking about passion. We're gonna recap a little of what we touched on. Russell Brand is overly confident in his confusion. I do appreciate that he speaks out, though.
The way that you said that made it feel like he just yelled it.
You saved us all.
It is true. That's actually kind of an astute observation.
Well, who's not a kook?
Yeah. That's
who's
true
not
too.
a kook?
Yes.
Who, honestly, who couldn't say that about me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, the same person who said that might want to say I'm not confused, but yes, I am. The only person that's not confused, if you can dig it, or if you can't, is when is the man. When he comes around, you'll see. What can you say?
Right.
You know, last week we touched on Revelation 20, really verses 11 through 15, and that's where I'm hanging my hat for a minute. We're just going to stay and marinate in some of those juices this week because the real story won't be told until then. There's going to be a lot of invisible people who are the unsung heroes of a story in which none of us are the main character. And that's, to the proud, that's a bitter pill. And I'm one of us. There's a man inside me that wants the story to be about me, and he's wrong. He's wrong. And he's always around. He's pesky. He's pesky. Yeah.
I hate that guy. I freaking hate that guy.
Yeah, so we started with some tech woes. They're not, it's fine.
It really is.
I mean, we're in this little office up here, the upper sanctum, and we're just taking it one step at a time. And first thing that happened was what happened last week. Last week, the the storage on the iPad, which again, I'm paying $25 a month for like 5 terabytes of room, and it is not full.
That guy's overly
Sam comments again, that guy is overly confident in his confusion.
So true.
Oh, I have opinions about Russell that he shouldn't care about. My prayers for Russell might be more helpful to him than my opinions about him. But yeah, I like Russell. I mean, I can't listen through an entire thing of most of the people I like because there's better things going on right in front of me. Plus, TikTok has made my attention span about 35 seconds long.
That's so dark, dude.
TikTok.
Dude, TikTok is the worst. Literally the worst.
Smooths out all the creases in our brains.
Literally.
Yep.
Yes. It really does.
Yeah.
It's dark. Not good for us.
Makes us high speed, low drag.
Oof.
Well, TikTok is bad for us. What about this new Chat GPT?
Hold on. What is this? Explain it.
It's this new open source AI where you can just type in whatever you want and then it'll do it.
What?
Oh yeah. Google it up on your phone, Luke.
What's it called?
It's called Chat GPT.
I'm scared.
Yeah. They say it's going to be like... Let's just start the recording here.
Optimizing language models for dialogue.
This is, what do you call it? This is December 15th when we're recording this. This is Thursday.
Yes.
And it's about 6:35 p.m. We've got a Facebook Live open. We started the podcast recording. We'll shut down Facebook Live in a minute and bemoan the fact that we don't have the equipment necessary to put up a proper video feed yet. We're talking about Chat GPT to start off the podcast.
I don't understand what it does.
So
you can chat with it. It's an AI.
So it's that's a
artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So it's an art. I'm sounding dumber than I am.
That's fine.
It's on purpose. It's a ruse. It's an artificial intelligence, and people can chat with it, and they can ask it to do things. Go on it and ask it to write a poem.
Oh God.
No, they ask it to write poems. They ask it to write legal documents, all kinds of busy work, and it'll do it in excellent quality. And
oh God,
it's like this week, my TikTok feed is full of people who've gone on Chat GPT and have been saying that it's going to revolutionize and basically ruin the ad world.
Oh.
People pitch ad ideas to it, and it makes high-quality ad copy.
That's dark. I literally can't even get on. It says Chat GPT is at capacity right now.
Yeah, so Chat GPT is unavailable because it's at full capacity. And I can't help but wonder, anytime something is free,
yeah,
you are the product.
Yeah.
And I wonder what's actually going on with Chat GPT.
I do too.
I'm not meaning to be conspiratorial, but it's been a heck of a last few years.
Dude, straight up.
And I can't help but wonder, every time I see a free service that's of great value, I can't help but wonder, in what way am I being commoditized?
Commoditized, yeah.
How am I the commodity? I don't know. I do enjoy watching short videos.
I will say this, I've watched a couple of videos about the data mining that people do and the way that affects election results and all kinds of crazy stuff.
I mean, you know
what I mean?
I just like to take this opportunity to say that I have no idea about whatever the thing is that we're supposed to say in order to stay on whatever medium we're on.
Yes.
Dude, I can't believe that you can't even discuss things and have opinions that are not mainstream without being booted off of platforms.
Yeah.
It's so strange to me.
Yeah.
Where is it then that my First Amendment rights work?
Well, I actually have opinions about this.
You shouldn't share them. It's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous.
It's far too dangerous to share your opinions. No, that's a real question for me. Is where is it then that I have First Amendment rights? So it's not on. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is on the Bluebird
Yeah, right.
Maybe the Bluebird does have First Amendment rights for me, but only because the spectral features of some strange character
Yes.
Has decided so, and that seems terribly autocratic and authoritarian,
Yeah.
and spooky, and even, you know what? Sure, I'll say it. It seems like fascism that I just agree with, and I don't like that. I don't like it.
Yeah, at least it's comfortable.
Yeah,
Right.
it's autocratic.
Yes,
and
right.
then there's the it's also blue.
Yes.
Starts with F.
Yes.
And that one, I know that you can. I mean, I'm probably already strangled on that one. They strangle you down, and they all
Right.
strangle you down.
Right.
You know. Then there's the red triangle
Yes.
on a white field,
Yes.
and you're gone. If you even you're not even allowed to be wrong about something. You know,
Yeah,
you should be
right.
able to say whatever you want to say and be wrong about it outside of the legal constraints of constitutional speech. So you shouldn't be able to defame
Right.
other people, you know, illegally defame them. You shouldn't be allowed to threaten other people with violence or incite violence or mayhem or mobs or like that.
Sure.
But shy of those things, I mean, I should be able to have a channel on YouTube that talks about whatever people are or are not interested in.
Right.
Which means that there will be huge swaths of YouTube or Facebook or the Bluebird that I wouldn't want to go on, see, or look at. And for that, you have unfollows and I'm not interested.
Right.
You know, and it sorts itself out.
Right.
And that would actually expose the landscape of where we are.
Right.
You know, instead, there's some idea that we can play whack-a-mole with bad ideas, and that's not how bad ideas. First of all,
that's a bad
there
idea.
is no eradicating bad ideas.
Yes.
It's like weeding a garden. You just have to stay at it. You have to stay on it. You know, you have to keep speaking out and keep arguing and keep fighting, and it seems exhausting, but this utopian idea that we don't even think it. We just function from this idea, this ideal that we can keep bad ideas from happening.
Right.
By, I guess, unpersoning, othering, deplatforming, marginalizing, censoring.
Right.
What did they call it? Visibility something. It's called shadow banning in the real world, but in the Twitter TOS, it's called visibility management or something.
Oh,
like
sure,
that.
yeah.
And they're like, we don't shadow ban. Yeah, it's because you call it your visibility.
Yeah, right.
What a ridiculous thing, man.
Right.
You know. And I'm just watching as like nobody's watching on Facebook.
Yes,
Like, we're on this level right now. We've driven them all away.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? Fine. We probably said 6 buzzwords. The NSA probably already shut us down.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really feel like I'm just gonna wind up just being on Rumble.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's what some people feel like, you know, these big boys don't have the right to censor stuff the way that they often do. But I actually feel like they do have that right. And if you don't like it, then you should go to Rumble. You know what I mean? I know that there's this like town square argument that people make, but I actually don't agree with it.
But you know what? I have a problem there.
Talk to me.
Well, if you're offering a service,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I get it.
Yeah.
Just go to Rumble, but the problem is, while you go to Rumble, there also should be a class action suit against the monopoly, the tech monopoly on the public square that exists because Google owns YouTube, owns Facebook, owns, you know, Twitter is now owned by a guy who makes all the calls.
Right.
And what are they accountable to? They should be accountable to the Constitution of the nation in which the business.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean?
So,
they should be accountable to the Constitution and its contents. I mean, that's the guy who owns Twitter. Actually, he is an American citizen by dint of immigration.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's South African.
His parents are from South Africa.
He's from South. I think he's from South Africa. The guy even has an accent. The problem is they aren't honest about their censorship. Oh yeah, I mean, but like. they aren't honest about their censorship, but are they allowed to do it in the first place? I mean, I tend to be a constitutional originalist in my thinking. I think that the ideas that upon which the Constitution was founded are pretty clear in the writing of it. Now, I can read, you know, like the words of it and understand what they mean in the vocabulary, and I get it that's like, it's a bit of a bite, but it's not that big a document.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, how many pages is the Constitution? It's not even that many.
It's
6,
it's
7,
like,
10, 15?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that long.
It's a bit much, though. It's
It is.
definitely above an 8th grade reading level.
Yeah, right, sure.
Most Americans can't be troubled to even read. I don't know that I have even read the entire Constitution. I know I have, but I don't know when the last time I gave it a fresh look, and that's not good civics.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I haven't either. Yeah, no, I have read it before, but it's been a long time.
I've read a lot of the Constitution, and I read the Federalist Papers 2 years ago.
Oh.
Which is super interesting.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, to my brain.
Right.
But like the Federalist Papers, I mean, shoot. I mean, it's like reading The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's a bit of an undertaking. How long are the Federalist Papers?
I have them on Kindle. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how long anything is on Kindle. You know, I went to Barnes and Noble the other day and I bought myself this. It's huge. It's huge, and it has 17-point print.
Yes.
You know, this is the way I like to read, is in big, flexible, hefty books, and I love the Bible.
Yeah.
But when I read books on Kindle, I'm super bummed by it because I can't flip back to like, oh yeah, it was about 2/3 through.
Right.
You know, and
right.
I can't do that.
Yes. No, I definitely like a physical book way better than
a lot
like
better.
Electronic book. I am interested. Man, I don't know the law well enough. Do people have the right to refuse service as long as it isn't predicated on like race or gender? I don't know how
it's what's so interesting to me is when the service is speech, self-expression, and religion and spirituality. When that's the service, it's like, we have an amendment in the Bill of Rights about that.
Right.
And I understand that people interpret that to mean that the government isn't allowed to infringe on your free speech. And you know what? That's a good argument. That's a really good argument. And I might yield to it if it were pressed to me intelligently. Maybe. But it would take me time. Because I have a feeling like this. I'm like, yeah, but these rights that are enumerated in our Constitution's Bill of Rights, right?
Yes.
These rights,
right?
They're not granted by or created by that enumeration. They are self-evidently endowed upon us by our Creator. Now, here we're losing a portion of the audience, you know.
I just heard the door closed.
Yeah, right. I get it. But that's the idea. That's the idea of what rights are. Rights are not something that are granted in the enumeration. They are enumerated because they are recognized as unchangeable and of eternal nature, fundamental to the human being. That's the understanding of rights that the writers of the Constitution, and if we come to an evolved understanding and we come together, we are allowed to amend our Constitution. We can get rid of rights. Didn't we get rid of one of the amendments in the Constitution?
I can't remember. I feel like we have, but I don't know.
I know that we've made changes. I know we added a 13th Amendment, which we haven't followed through on as well as I'd like, because the institution of slavery still continues through our prison industrial system. Oh, it does.
Hot take.
Oh, yes. It's slavery.
No, that's crazy.
I mean, we have slavery in this country, and it's not only the prison industrial system, but it's also in the human trafficking that we're all allowing to go on just because we're not aware enough. We're not curious enough. And when we touch it, it's like touching a live wire, and we're exhausted, and let's just go back to TikTok and couch time. You know, I go to work, I come home, my boss is a jerk. Why would I want to learn a whole bunch of things about that sort of thing? I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
We should, though.
The only amendment that was taken out was the 18th that established prohibition, and it was later repealed.
That's right. We repealed the 18th Amendment. It was prohibition of alcohol. It was a dumb move.
Right.
And that was a good thing. So, what does it take to repeal an amendment? I mean, we could repeal the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, but until they're repealed, they're the law of the land. And when it comes to the First Amendment, I don't think that a corporation has the right to deprive citizens of rights that are enumerated to them in the Constitution. That's the stuff of Supreme Court-like decisions. Well, it really is.
Let me ask you this.
And especially not while they hold a monopoly.
Yeah.
No, while they hold a monopoly and they can effectually destroy the comms of the people. This is the digital town square. This is the common square.
Right.
Whether they intended it or not, it has become that way. The other problem is this, Luke.
Go ahead.
Section 230 of the blah, 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 FCC, blah, blah, blah code.
Yes.
It creates a veil.
Okay.
And it says nobody can sue one of these. It's like telephone companies.
Okay.
If someone calls you up and threatens to murder you, you're not allowed to sue AT&T.
Right.
It happened on their device. It happened with their network. But it's not AT&T's job to keep you from doing crimes.
Right.
Because of Section 230 of the FCC blah blah code.
Okay.
But if AT&T starts deciding that you don't get to have phone service because you say things that they don't like,
can they hide?
You know what happens? They then become liable because they've begun to be an editor of the content on their service. They then become liable for all of the content. And therefore they're liable to suit. And that's what that's about. And so the removal of those protections is a really big deal.
Sure.
So don't act like an editor. If you're going to offer a service that the problem is this. Listen. Those unfollow and block things, they're really going to get some wear. Yeah. Because if it really did go Wild West on free speech, I would be unfollowing and blocking all kinds of people whose speech that I didn't like. Right. Maybe every now and then I get feisty and want to go in there and tangle up with people I think the capital should be in Jerusalem. Just a hot button issue,
Gosh, dude.
Yes. I could maybe, I could return to my roots of being called a Zionist and a Nazi.
Yes.
All publicly, all in 1 week.
Finally, yes. The prophecy has been fulfilled.
It has been. It will be again.
Yes, dude.
But that's the thing, stuff I don't like to see. Yeah. The algorithms know it. Right. And they want to keep getting all my data and stuff. They want to keep me on there. So I don't see what the big fuss is about. Honestly, don't see what the fuss is about. Because if free speech is allowed and people speak freely, and then those block and unfollows happen, then stuff can go in its lane. And when I realize, there's something dark happening in America, man, I want to learn more about this. This happened with me in 2015. Yeah. I went on a deep dive because everyone was talking about the alt-right. They were, and I was like, what is that? I bought books about it, learned about what's going on. I listened to podcasters and YouTubers and people, and really heated up for me in 2016 when Alex Jones got deplatformed, because I always keep my eye on the lunatic fringe. That's one of the things I like about Russell Brand. In my opinion, Russell Brand is a great example of the lunatic fringe. Sure. I mean, he's into all kinds of goo-goo gaga. Yeah. Says the guy who believes Christ was resurrected and that one day we'll all stand before God on judgment.
I know. You'll have that.
You do have that on these big jobs.
You're going to have that.
Well, I watched a debate one time between...
It was like, boom!
Maybe we've been throttled back entirely because of just keywords in a discussion.
Right. Or you need a new router.
I might need a new router, but I mean, I need,
I know.
Look, one thing Luke and I know well is we are really good at this.
Yeah, that's something that I know every day. I know that.
We have got this on lock.
Lock.
Truly. We are so good at this that we are absolutely certain of nothing, because we're not.
I like figuring this stuff out, though. Like a moth to the flame.
I'm having a blast.
I know, dude.
I'm having a blast, man.
That's good. Even like the multiple camera GoPro angle deal you were talking about. That would be fun to figure out.
It'd be sick.
Strenuous, but fun, dude.
I don't know, dude. I think that if we started, first of all, I like the view going this way a lot.
What, are we going to turn around?
For our Facebook audience.
Oh, God.
No, I've got this. We can do it.
All right.
We've already got this dialed in. Yeah. I'm not even barely dropping. For our Facebook Live audience, like this is the direction that, oh, it doesn't look that good.
The lighting is goofy.
That doesn't look very good.
Gosh.
That's fine. Yeah, I think it looks better this way. But with, with time will come practice and everything with patience, man. Just be patient. That's what I'm going to do, is just be patient. So
I'm interested in what you were talking about in regard to the Theodicy, and then
the problem of evil.
The problem of evil, and then and the way that really jams people up, and then the resolution to that being God vindicating himself, and in so doing vindicating the righteous in the end. Because it's funny, you have to be inside, you have to be over the line before the line itself is I'm going to use the term organized in such a way that you can understand it. You know what I mean? Like if you're having a problem with the Theodicy, it's easier to understand when you look at it from the inside, not the outside. And it's like that on purpose, I'm sure. I'm not a smart man, but...
Well, we're just men.
Yes.
We may even be smart men, but even a smart man would have read his book.
Yes.
And would have known that God has seen fit to make foolishness the wisdom of man.
Right.
So it's really, there's no use in taking refuge in how smart we are, because even our smartest smartness is just silly to the Almighty Creator who made us.
Truly.
So when it comes to the Theodicy, the problem of evil, immediately in my mind, there is this list. The first line is evil/good. It's the problem of evil and good, right? But then immediately I write easy/hard, comfort/discomfort, ecstasy/agony. And so often we get a little big for our britches when we start deciding what's good and what's evil. We can barely pull together the wherewithal to enumerate our God-given rights and keep them intact.
Yeah.
Barely. Can we just appreciate the smallness, the littleness that we are? Just for a second, can we humble ourselves and just stop going forward for a minute and just get some help?
Yeah.
We need some help.
Yeah.
Because when we pick up this big old thing and we say, well, God is either not good or he is not all powerful, and we're starting to do that, I'm not with you, man.
With that face.
Seriously, it pains me.
Yeah, sure.
It pains me, but I love you.
Yeah.
I want to put my forehead on your forehead.
Yeah.
I want to just noggin,
right.
Finn noggin dude you. Remember Finn
right.
noggin
yes,
dude?
Yes.
I want to Finn noggin dude you and just be like, look, man, you need to just take a deep breath. Okay, because our ideas of good and evil, Christopher Hitchens wants, and his gripe is well said.
You think so?
Oh, there's a microorganism that gets into the bloodstream of children in Africa, and it creates a larva in their eye that burrows out and renders them blind. African river blindness.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. You know what fixed that? Do you know what fixed river blindness?
Probably just a basic antibiotic.
Well, you're not allowed to say the word, but it's ivermectin.
Dude, I have to tell a story about just what you just said.
Okay.
I was sick with the COVID 1984, and my doctor prescribed me that medication because he was a great doctor, and I went to pick it up at a pharmacy that filled it, and I had driven through like the drive-through at the pharmacy, and the lady was like, okay, yeah, I have your prescriptions here, because it was that and a couple other antivirals and stuff. And she said, she was asking me, she was like confirming the prescriptions, but she would not say the word. She literally would not say the word ivermectin. She said, okay, is one of them, and she spelled it out. She said IVERM, however else you spell it. And I couldn't understand what she was saying. I was like, what? What are you saying? She was like, is one of your prescriptions IVER? Like, she wouldn't even say the word in the pharmacy. It was so wild. I was like, yes. You know, it was so weird, dude. It was very, very strange. Anyway.
You know, I just had a dear relative on the phone reading me the absolute riot act because my doctor told me that ivermectin would do no good, or it might do good, and he couldn't say so, and so I should do what I want. And my nurse practitioner, who also is one of my healthcare people, said, nah, dude, and he gave me a similar group of things that he said to me that I should use those.
Yeah.
Whether or not I used them, whether or not I ever needed them, you know what, is nobody's freaking business.
Yep.
Nobody's. My health is nobody's business.
Yep.
Jeez Lapetes. Used to be. In fact, there's a law, HIPAA.
Yeah. Crazy dog.
It's nobody's business.
Right.
Nobody's business but your own.
Right.
I don't want to know
what
you do,
right.
and I don't want you to know what I do unless I want you to, and I tell you.
Right.
And if you tell someone else what I do, I'd be mad at you.
Right.
Anyway, that is a good story, Luke,
yes.
and it does hinge on this. But you know, going back to the problem of evil, the Theodicy, you know, what's very interesting is I was talking about when I was in college, and it's on the podcast on CapmLew on Podbean. This is all going on the podcast simultaneously. So I see that Ryan Geyser is watching, and he was one of my buddies in college. We haven't spoken, I think, since then.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan Geyser. It's nice to have you with me. But we were talking about good and evil, and I started my list, and I was like, by evil you mean so many things. And I brought up river blindness because I think I'm right about river blindness, that it was ivermectin. It might have been another drug.
Sure.
They wiped it out. It cured it. I think that ivermectin was a World Health Organization essential medicine for the past 40, I don't know when, it's won two Nobel Prizes, or, you know, on and on. I think that it's very interesting because river blindness was a terrible, terrible thing. And the only thing necessary for it to stop existing was that people would take care of other people.
Crazy dog.
And we live in a terrible world because people won't do that. We have warlords and tribal warfare, and we have all kinds. I mean, hey, we have the luxury in this conversation of actually being perched on the edge of, I don't know, World War III.
Yeah, I know.
You know, financial collapse because of unmitigated greed. And this is exactly what the scriptures are saying when they talk about the books being opened and the book of life, that people will be judged by their works, that we live in an incredibly dynamic opportunity for our works to show our true loyalty. And I think that this helps us, you know, remembering how small we are.
Sure.
And that the wisdom of God makes foolish all the wisdom and knowledge of man. Remembering that, like I started with, we can barely cobble together a good expression of human rights, you know?
Right.
Barely. And then once we've put it together in a Bill of Rights or something like that, we seem to be fine for corporations and things like that to trample all over them. Still, not bad by comparison. It's fine. You know, it's just a nation. They don't really do that well.
Right.
You know, I'm not expecting the moon on a spoon.
Right.
But I am expecting the return of the just judge who judges all mankind. I am expecting that. Now, that may be a peculiarity in your view, but it's one of the, I think it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we look at good and evil, and so many times if we dig a little deeper, we just dig a little deeper, we'll wind up admitting that we're really talking about ease and difficulty. We're talking about ecstasy and agony. We're really not talking about good and evil. We're looking at it from a perspective.
Yeah.
And we're exercising a tremendous confirmation bias. And we almost every time that we discuss good and evil, we're sort of wedging out the one guy in the room who can actually define those things.
Right.
And that guy is God.
I know, right?
We need God to understand good and evil. Even one time Jesus was teaching and a man came up to him and said, "Good teacher." And Jesus said, "Why do you call me good? There is none good but God." You know, which I think is so dope.
I know, because
he was slipping it in on the radar that he was fundamentally divine in nature.
Right.
And I think that when it comes to the Theodicy, that paradox of good and evil, we're not actually in a paradox. We're in a strange time during which people show where their loyalties really lie by the way we act and choose not to act.
Yeah.
By the sheer fact of whether or not we're even curious about alleviating suffering and alleviating the dire circumstance of so many of our neighbors. I'll tell you what scares me about this time we live in is that you live in a 4-bedroom house, you know, and you never thought to fill them. You never made friends with someone who needed a place for a couple of years. You know?
Yes.
People who need a place for a couple of years, they don't make good friends. Oh, what if they steal from you?
Yeah.
Or what if they're an axe murderer? You know, turns out that Isaiah 57, what we read, that being axe murdered could be the start of a beautiful journey. You know? I mean, when I think about dried out Richard Dawkins, or when I think about, you know, kooky Russell Brand, or I think about these things, I'm like, let them talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I think people don't want talking because they don't want thinking. They don't want conflict. They don't want fighting. They're looking for a peace that just doesn't exist. Yeah. It doesn't. Life is a battle, man.
I've never thought about the correlation between society's ideas of morality and feels good, doesn't feel good. That's actually really astute, I think, because I've always, when I talk to people who don't believe in God and we begin to talk about, you know, whether or not God is good or not, it's interesting to me because I find my baseline of good and evil from the character of God and His Word, and I'm like, where did you get yours from? You know what I mean? And they're like, I don't know. You usually can't even get that far into a conversation before it's just all like red herrings and straw men, which is really disappointing. But like I said, I've never correlated it between, you know, good, evil, feels good, doesn't feel good, because a lot of times that's what it is. I really like what you have to say about that.
I just wrote some notes. I wrote, you know, one of the things about this thing about good and evil is in the Theodicy is that God is either good and weak, or He is strong and evil. But I think we're always with the either or.
Right.
So binary.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's a spectrum. I'm not saying it's non-binary. I'm saying that it's trinary, man. Because the third option is, what I wrote is, no. He's wild. The wildness of the Creator described in Scripture, his wildness to our perspective, and wise to our perspective, it is bewildering, perplexing, so difficult to reconcile ourselves to someone so wise and wild that He would allow, even decree, a period of time in linear history during which we actually have the opportunity to overlook justice, to overlook righteousness, and just fritter our time away. I fritter mine.
On TikTok and...
Sure.
Right.
Man. Or to some small degree to awaken to not only that we are unjust and that we are unwise, but that he has provided redemption and embrace to us like prodigal sons, and continues to roll out this embrace to us.
Right.
You know, it's just not flannel graph on Sunday morning, Sunday school type of stuff.
Flannel graph.
It's just not PowerPoint in the 90s,
right,
or liquid crystal displays, or what do they got now?
Dude, liquid crystal displays.
You know, mega church,
right, rock climbing
stadium
walls
seating with rock
yes,
climbing walls and slides that go down
right,
like that, you know.
Yes. Right.
I mean, I like the heck out of a good cup of free coffee.
Jeez, dude. I like slides too.
But yeah, you know, but the wildness of the God described in Scripture is a little bit intense. I can sympathize with the heart of a person that's not in for this, but the Theodicy is not a binary thing. It's trinary, even though, you know, now he's wild and wise. Is maybe that's not something that the maybe that's not the realm of academics. Maybe that's the realm of poets.
Yeah.
And the realm of mystics and romantics.
Right.
I'm just saying. Right. You know, it's great to learn about God, but getting to know the guy, that's gonna cut in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will.
That's gonna cut in.
It will.
In fact, when Carl Sagan looked at the evidences for the resurrection of Jesus Christ, yeah, I'll paraphrase it, but it is written. He said the evidences of themselves are compelling enough, but the conclusion is so distasteful, I just won't do it. Carl Sagan. Yeah,
bro.
I grew up with Carl Sagan, and Cosmos was on Nova, had Cosmos or whatever, and
right,
public television and like that.
That's so interesting. I've always felt that when you're talking to people about these things, I want to tell people, you know, the question is not, do you like it or not? The question is it true or untrue? You know what I mean? Like,
you know, to any degree that a person could be convinced,
right?
Is there even material provided
right,
by which a person could be compelled by reason? It's a good opening question, because if there isn't adequate evidence, then you're free.
Yeah.
But if there were adequate evidence and you neglected to look into it, that's dumb. You're not dumb, are you? Are you dumb?
Yeah.
I think some of you might be dumb.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hey, I know dumbness.
Right.
This is me talking.
Yes.
I know all about dumb.
Our ratings are going through the roof right now.
Ratings, man. Forget that. What an honor. Just tell them to read Ecclesiastes. Read Ecclesiastes, fools.
Yeah, straight up.
But you got to read it to the end.
Right.
And then you got to reread it, and you got to reread the end.
Right.
That's really good and good for you. Bitter pills often bring good medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faithful are the wounds of...
Oh, true and faithful are the wounds of a friend.
Yes.
That's right.
That's very true.
That's true.
I was just talking to somebody about that today.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. Well, what are we, 49 minutes into this escapade and 2 Facebook Lives deep, and we have retained an entire 3 people on Facebook. That's exciting.
Yeah, check under your seats, friends. There's a free car under there.
Oh my gosh.
That's so good, dude.
Dude, I can't believe it.
I know it.
What a weird and wild world it really is. It's wild and woolly.
Dude, it really, really is.
So you got to stay strapped or get clapped.
Oh, boy. Everybody get your CCW.
Oh, gracious.
Yeah.
Dude, we were doing First Amendment, not Second Amendment.
Dude, have you ever, like, watched, like, a 4-hour video by some crazy dude on YouTube, and it's, like, super sick, and then at the end it like, culminates into this, like, insane, like, cornerstone that they finally land on. Like my friend, like
it was the debate between Dawkins
yes,
and
like
Stein.
it's exactly what I'm talking about. You're
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I watched one where this guy was like going through the book of Revelation, and of course he had all the answers and stuff. And at the very end, he culminated it all into the fact that Saturday was the true Sabbath, and it like he really like landed there, you know. And I was like, geez, this was a waste of time, dude.
Salvific Sabbatarians.
Yes.
You know that's actually the term for it. Is that
Yes.
you're not going to be welcomed into the arms of the loving Father, who is the Father of the prodigal son, if you met on Sunday instead of Saturday.
Yeah. And if you celebrated Christmas, then that's like a demerit or something. Like it's just insane, dude.
Oh
You're
my
like, wow,
gosh.
what a waste. I actually didn't watch that video. A
Do you
friend of
know,
mine was watching it.
people crave that.
They do.
There's a craving.
No, it is.
It's almost universal in humanity. There's
is.
a craving.
Right.
They don't care what the rules are.
Just tell
They
me what
just
they are.
want there to
Right.
be rules so that
Right.
the feeling they have,
Yep.
usually bad feelings they have about themselves,
Yes.
can be justified
Yep.
by the failure to meet a rule.
Yes.
And here you have a God described in Scripture who is wild
Yes.
and wise and holy
Right.
and love.
Hmm.
And he has shown what nature of love
Yeah.
he is
Right.
through Jesus.
Yep.
Jesus who came in history, well testified. Jesus who rose from the dead, well evidenced.
Yep.
And you and he ruins all that stuff.
I
He
know.
ruins it.
I know.
And I love it.
I
I
know.
love that he ruins that stuff, but other people don't. They get real bummed out when you're all of a sudden like, your whole salvific Sabbatarianism is off, man.
Right.
It's off.
Yeah. I mean, just as
It's too
literally,
jank
dude.
to rank.
Just a simple read through like the book of Galatians will kind of skin
I'll
that off.
You read Galatians or Colossians,
Yeah,
and
or
they
Colossians.
will wreck
Yeah.
dietary,
Right.
a forced asceticism, salvific.
Yes.
So
Right.
you can fast if you want to. You
Yeah.
can observe days if you want to.
Right.
There's freedom, but man, you start requiring it or thinking it gets you some sort of merit with the Almighty, you are on the wrong track. That's not how He even works.
Yeah.
That was shown clearly.
Yeah.
He only works one way, and that's love.
Right.
And that was shown in Jesus.
Right.
I like that because it wrecks the person who's falsely and proudly self-righteous and
Yeah.
religious.
Right.
And it also wrecks the person who is stubbornly and unrighteously irreligious.
Yeah. Right.
I like getting wrecked and humbled.
Yes.
I need it.
Yes.
I'm into it. The little life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we employed our idiocy to address the Theodicy
Yeah.
and the problem of good and evil tonight.
Yeah.
And I think we solved it.
Yeah. I think it's done.
I think it's done. We can
Yeah.
close the book on the Theodicy. That was fun.
I'll call James White.
That's good. Who's James White?
He's one of the super gnarly reform boys. I actually really like listening to him.
Good.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
intense though.
Well, you call James White.
Yeah.
I'll call Richard Dawkins
Yeah.
and Bill Nye.
Yeah. Right.
And I'll have
Yeah.
them forward a message over to Neil deGrasse
Tyson. Right.
and let
Yes.
them all know that we fixed the problem of good and evil.
Yes.
They can relax and
Yeah.
maybe just take a fresh look
Yes.
with maybe the eyes of like a humble person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. I'm so glad, dude. That's awesome. Who knew?
Well, Bill Nye the Science Guy was great.
I like
And
it.
I also I don't really enjoy Neil deGrasse Tyson because I just don't feel as amazed about. I don't think that the things he's saying are amazing in the way that he says they're amazing.
Sure.
I think they're more amazing than the way he says they're amazing.
Right.
But that's what you get with a guy like me.
Right.
I see our existence as more like Middle Earth and Tolkien than I do
Right. Some.
magnetic resonance images from some sort of sensor telescope.
Right.
It's fine.
It is, that it is interesting. The perspectives that artists might give versus the perspectives that a scientist might give, and they're both so important. I really like it because I'm more.
Yeah, but I
Go
know
ahead.
scientists.
Yeah.
I've met scientists.
Yeah.
I've met geneticists. I've met people with legit
Right.
scientific pedigree who are amazed in a similar way to my amazement.
Yeah.
they just tend to get kicked out of everywhere.
I know, dude. Poor guys.
That's
dude.
okay.
I know.
Listen, the world was always going to be a douche to people like that.
Yeah.
The master told us that. What I think isn't worth any time is being surprised about it.
Yeah, come on.
I just don't think there's much use in being surprised about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is what it is. I said what I said. You know?
Oh, what are you going to do, dude?
I don't know. What is it? I was thinking about some lyrics from a rap song I was listening to.
Is it,
It says, I don't give a what. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
I don't give a what.
Saying what I want with my fingers up. Everybody triggered and they think I suck.
Oh, yes. That rap
give
song.
a what.
Yes,
na 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 na.
Tom McDonald, please.
Don't say his
Oh,
name.
I'm sorry.
Now we're
Yeah.
kicked off Facebook.
I've called upon the name. The one with the name we shall not say. Gosh, dude.
Tom McDonald Demort.
Yeah, Demort. Oh my gosh, dude.
Just add Demort to the end of it.
Yeah.
I say as I adjust my Jason Jesse hat.
Yes, dude. Oh my gosh. Father McDonald. Papa
Oh my
McDonald.
gosh.
That's so good.
Man, I want to talk about skateboarding. I
All right.
love skateboarding.
Dude, you know what's funny? We talked about passion last episode.
We
I was
did.
feeling so bummed out and still do, but I want to skate.
I do too.
I want to go skating,
that's
dude.
one of the things I love about living in a place where there's winter.
Yeah.
I know that people here don't get as good at skateboarding. I've seen it with my own eyes. Kids, well, I brought it up last podcast and didn't finish the thought. Kids down at AB Park, Atlantic Beach Park, there's guys down there that barefoot skate better than the best guys here.
Bro.
Because they grow I was talking to one of them like,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, what's your life like, man? What's your deal? And he's like, well, I grew up here. I lived here my whole life. And he's bored. You know, he's bored, but he knows he's got it good. And he's like, every day he's surfing. From the time he was little, he was raised by surfers
Bro.
who encouraged him to ride his skateboard.
I know.
He got sponsored by the local shop, tight crew,
Yep.
with warm weather. Oh, every day. And these kids can, I mean, you went to L.A.
Oh, bro.
What was that like in L.A.?
Dude, I recall one guy, he would roll up to the park. He was probably like 19. And he would come like so hungover. He would smoke like 3 blunts in the parking lot. He would come in and he would legitimately like first trick, like beautiful tray flip down like the 16 stair at the park. And then he would go back around and he would do like a kickflip nose grind down the hubba that was like nipple high. Like stuff that boys around here who think that they're hot shit, like you can't even put a candle to it.
Not even.
And he wasn't even warmed up. Like, you guys are insane.
No, he was
dude.
hungover and he was stoned.
Yeah, literally. And he just, like, was out here. Like, and it was like that all the time. Like, all the time.
Everywhere you go, in L.A. and in California and in Florida, there's people that can ollie waist high.
Literally.
Like, even like the guys who aren't as good.
I know.
Can ollie, like, waist high. I don't think I can ollie knee high. Maybe I can.
If I really needed to. But at what price, dude? Jeez. At what price?
But what I love about living in an area where there's winter
Yeah.
is you take a break, you heal.
Yeah.
And yes, you're not... I am certainly never going to be a mega ripper.
No.
That's because I lack ambition.
Me too.
And I also lack... This is a little judgy.
Go ahead.
This doesn't fit. So if the shoe doesn't... This doesn't fit everyone. If this shoe doesn't fit, you don't wear it. But I also lack the common inferiority complex that drives people to achieve these things. I've already got the girl. I'm reconciled with my creator. I'm ready to go home. Whatever day it's going to be. Could be today. Could be in 25, 30 years. Probably won't be longer because I'm 50, 49. And, you know, but I'm done. I don't feel like I'm not part of the group.
Right.
Because the group I am part of isn't part of any of the groups. I'm trying to be the subject of a king who's got an eternal kingdom, and he will stand on the earth one day.
Yeah.
And we'll just see how it irons out after that.
Yeah.
That's the beginning for me.
Yes.
So being able to, yeah, I love it when I get out there and I get a little bit froggy and I start to go a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And you might see some vestiges of some hidden talent,
vestiges,
you know, in there. I like when I'm fit and when I'm stretched out and I can do stuff. And I know that I can ollie knee high. Probably if I wanted to, I could ollie knee high anytime I want. But these kids who grow up with no winter,
bro,
they have got such good skill levels.
Yes. And it's so funny because, like, I was at Arvada Skate Park in Denver. I used to live like 20 minutes, so we go all the time. And it's objectively and arguably one of the best skate parks in America. And I was talking to a guy there, and he had grown up there. His dad, like, knew all the people from Independent. They would come hang out at his house. He had, like, a shred zone at his house, like, and he ripped. And he was commenting about how the one thing that he didn't like about that skate park is how perfect everything was. And I was like, you stupid son of a gun. Like, I was enraged in that moment for just a moment, because I was like, dude, you should go live in, like, Kansas for a while. You know what I mean? Like, people would kill to grow up 10 minutes down the road from one of the best skate parks in America, have a dad who's friends with all the Independent team, and have, like, a pool in your backyard and another 18 friends who have sick backyard pool. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, it was so funny. It was like, just everything's so perfect. And it's just like, you know, it just kind of bums me out. And I was like, bro, you're killing me right now. Like, are you kidding me? It was so funny.
If he had said it's crowded, maybe that would have done better for
Yeah, no, dude. It was like, it's just so perfect. I'm like, really? This is you're bummed out about that? You know what I mean? It was so dark. I was like, bro, it's amazing here. It's absolutely incredible.
It's an interesting thing. I wonder what gets hold on people sometimes. But there are different strokes for different folks, and there are a lot of guys, a lot of people who'd rather do a 5-0 on something crusty than do a frontside flip on something perfect.
I can understand that.
I can too.
I can understand
people who really like the roughness and the texture of it.
Absolutely.
And like that. Just like last time we were talking about people who really battle for something.
Yeah.
And that's again, not every shoe fits, so if it doesn't fit, wear it. But, you know, to the extent that that's driven, and I can only perceive, to the extent that that's driven by weird, you know, in my opinion, unproductive neurosis of inferiority and belonging to the group and stuff, man, let that go.
Yes.
You know,
no, absolutely.
Suffering for what? And whatever girl you win from the giant battle and getting the trick, she's just gonna leave you, dude.
I know.
You know?
I know.
Oh, worry about you, mate.
I worry about you, mate. Dude, those guys. I will say, there is and we talked about this on the last podcast, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I absolutely agree with it.
Well, that's nice of you.
But my perspective has been rounded out somewhat by being with people who I perceive really enjoy the battle that they're in. That's not the way that I like to skate, but I actually like skating with those guys, because sometimes they'll challenge me to do something that, because I never battle for tricks. It's just not where I'm at. I want to go fast and be smooth. That's what I want to do.
Both of us are like that.
Yes.
That's the way we are.
But sometimes somebody will be like, oh, I bet you can do this. And there's an engagement there that I enjoy. And I allowed myself a couple times to be really drawn in by it, because I was interested in the experience. I was like, okay, everybody else does this. I wonder what it's about. And it's not my thing, but sometimes it's a lot of fun. It is. But I think that something that drives that is my baseline, my foundation that I'm standing on is very similar to yours. I'm not here to get a girl. I know exactly what matters and what doesn't matter from my current perspective. I don't need skateboarding to be something that it's not. So I can be in these battles and not get the trick and not go home super bummed out. You know what I mean? I just enjoyed, like, oh yeah, I want to challenge myself. I'm a man. I want a lightsaber. I want to go to war. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see if I can do this thing. And sometimes you do it and it feels great, and sometimes you don't, and that's a bummer. And you try again. You know, that's the thing I think a lot of those guys are missing, is like, hey man, maybe if you recalibrated a bit and then went back at it with a similar mindset, you would find that you would be much more successful, because you're not all freaked out about some bullshit. But B, you would enjoy it tremendously more. You know what I mean? The experience would actually be accented by the fact that you don't need it to be something for you that it's impossible to be, you know?
That's honorable.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I don't have a rebuttal to that. We're not in a debate.
No, at all.
Because
no.
I've been with that too.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're not talking about I don't think you're talking about the same kind of.
I'm not.
And you know what? I could be wrong, but I will probably continue to heckle.
Yeah, dude. Well, come on. You know what's funny about
because when you heckle a person who's like the person you're describing, they laugh.
They laugh.
They laugh,
yes.
and it's cool. And when I heckle when I heckle the other, there's kind of two responses I've seen predominantly. There aren't only two.
Yeah.
One of them is that they lighten up and start to have more fun.
I know, dude.
The other one is...
Yeah.
They will never forgive me.
Yeah, ever.
And then they will lurk back into
dude.
my public life.
Yes, dude.
And they will accuse me of being a bully.
Yes.
And it just does not bother me.
You know, one time I'm thinking about where you did this really well is when you talk shit to Jason Brock at the Lexington skate park. Or Justin Brock.
Oh, yeah, Justin Brock. I had
dude.
just had surgery and I was skating. My doctor had told me you have to go skateboarding on day 21. I'd had 2 huge hernia surgeries, man.
Savage.
Super low.
Yeah.
Super low. They weren't the kind that poke out. They were the kind that poke down. And major surgery deep in my pelvis. And he told me, he said, on day 22, I want you skateboarding. And it timed out. So the day 22 was June 21st.
Yeah.
And we did a road trip. We hit numerous parks. And we were on my first day back skating wearing compression shorts underneath my pants because the surgeries hurt so much. I'm out there and I'm doing front side grinds and backside 50-50s and just getting the piece that I can get.
Yeah.
And Justin Brock is there, and I heckled him.
Yeah, dude.
But he wasn't being anything but sweet.
He was awesome. He was such
super
a good
sweet.
sport,
And I heckled Ray Barbie similarly.
Yes.
I heckled both of them for being super hyper negative jerks to kids.
Right. Yes,
because
dude.
it was the opposite of what they were being.
Yes, dude.
But I did. He was trying something hard, and I told him, I'm like, hey, there's people trying to skate here.
Yeah, because his board rolled into the mini ramp.
Kept rolling into the mini ramp, and I was like, hey, there's people trying to skate here, trying to use this designated skateboarding facility, and you're just here choking it up with your negativity.
Yeah, dude.
And he was so sweet.
Dude, he was super cool,
He
cool.
just flip-topped his head and laughed, and was such a sweet dude about it. I wish him well deeply.
Me too.
I really do.
That's where the heckling is actually super sick because
you bond,
dude. You bond, and it alleviates if you say the thing to the person that they're most terrified about and just put it out into the open, even though they don't know that that's what they're scared of. You can see the relief wash over them. It's sick. I love doing it, dude. I love it because it's a way to connect with people.
We do it a lot.
It's sick because they're all scared, and you're like, "Hey, man, like, what if you don't land that and like nobody likes you anymore?" You know what I mean? And they're like, "Oh, you know."
We both ganged up on this one kid at the last park, and we said to him, we said. He was obviously having strong social anxiety.
Yes.
Because we know this kid, and he usually skates. But he was standing there with his board, and like 20 minutes had gone by, and he hadn't even dropped in. And so we just sidled up to him and we're like, yeah, you got social anxiety. Like that. And you could just see it crack through for him. We're like, man, hey, look, man, maybe not right now, but pretty soon, you know, you maybe want to get on that ramp. We're going to make sure you get your shot. You know?
Absolutely.
Double runs if you bail on the first wall. That's all, you know, and we just laid it out. And we regulate like that too. Nobody comes around and is like, snaking kids when we're around because we heckle them.
Yeah, they're terrified of it.
One time I was at what was called back in the day a grill and chill. It was held at a public concrete skate park, and the big boys were there.
Oh boy!
And the biggest of all the big boys was trying a great leap, a great leaping trick.
Yes.
And I was just zipping around doing my little. I just do little stuff.
Yep.
And I was just zipping around doing my little stuff and having a good time, you know. I was doing like early grabs and stuff. And I was doing flat ground kick flips now and then back then. I was liking them that season.
Yeah.
But I was not one of the big boys, you know. But I was old, and I'm from the 80s, you know, and so I was having a good time doing that. And the biggest of the big boys, we were on pretty fairly friendly terms back then. He was trying this great leap, and he was throwing his board, and he was acting all sour, and all the kids, man, all the kids were soaking up that vibe.
Yeah.
And I was like, not on my watch. So, in the hearing of everyone, I made sure that everyone could hear.
Yeah.
I turned to the biggest of the big boys, and I said, hey, biggest big boy. You know, how about you try some stuff that you can make every time so everyone can enjoy just, you know, watching you.
Right.
You know, like, how about you take it down a notch and stop trying to win the girl.
Yeah.
And just, like, take it down a notch, bro.
Right. Yeah, savage.
Never forgiven.
Yeah, dude.
They call that in my area of the country. They call that shit talking.
Jeez, dude.
It's it's okay.
The bar is so low for shit talk, dude.
I don't think that is. That's neither slanderous
No.
nor defamatory.
No.
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 No. It might be talking about some of the shit
Yep.
that is being strewn about
Right.
by a bad example, you know.
Right.
But it's hard being the owner of the big concern, you know. It's hard
Right.
being the biggest of the big boys because you are still responsible for, you know, not stinking up an entire session with taking yourself too seriously.
I know, dude.
Dude, bro, seriously. And I bet there are people who will either listen to this or watch it if we ever get it on the Rumble.
Yeah.
And they'll think, harumph, you know, and I'm like, yeah, you need to hear it.
Yeah.
You taking yourself too seriously?
Right.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know I am.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know?
Both, dude.
Dude, for real, it's
Right.
like our natural state is taking ourselves way too seriously.
Yeah, legitimately.
The thing is, for me, I get a lot of relief from it by taking God seriously.
I know.
You take God seriously, and then you can take other things in a different perspective.
Right.
It says in the scripture that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and that's not very popular nowadays. I think that's
No.
I think that's dumb.
Right.
I do. Yeah. I mean, you can dress it up with fancy words and arguments, but that's not good tactical positioning, dear ones.
No, it's
No,
not,
sir.
dude. It's really, really not.
Well, this has been a good 71 minutes and a couple of Facebook, what do you call it? And
Yes.
we did retain, I think, one eyeball.
Thanks, Sam.
Probably Sam.
Yeah, probably Sam.
We're going to stop this. We're going to stop this episode of the podcast, and then we're going to record another podcast that's just us yakety yakking, and go back to bemoaning the state of our tech, and we will, we'll keep going. It's good.
Yeah.
Good thing. All right.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth, was CapmLew.
Laters.